I think my whole generation, I mean, growing up, we all watched Michael Jordan. The moves, the style, the haircut, everything. I mean, everything he did, everyone tried to emulate.
Grant Hill, I think you see the passing of the torch to the next generation, the next Dr. J's, Michael Jordans.
Over the past 3 years, Jordan and Hill have met 12 times, and for Hill, there's one thing that's painfully obvious.
You know, Chicago is the team. They're the team to beat. I've never beat Chicago before.
Grant gets another chance today.
This is the NBA on NBC. The game of the week. Today, it's the Chicago Bulls versus the Detroit Pistons.
On this 13th day of April, snow is falling here in the Midwest, but a capacity crowd better than 21,000 turning out at the Palace of Auburn Hills for the fourth and final meeting of the regular season between the Bulls and the Pistons. Chicago 68-10, that's the best record in the NBA. Detroit in the midst of a tailspin. They've dropped to 51 up, 26 down. They're in the number 6 slot, a half game behind Charlotte, and now 2.5 behind New York and Atlanta. Hi everybody, Marv Albert along with Matt Gukas. Well, the Chicago Bulls are down to 4 games remaining in the regular season, and Matt, they have 2 goals in mind to win 70. They're 2 away, and also to push Michael Jordan's scoring average to 30 a game. He's slightly off the mark and looking to make it a record 9th season for 30 or more per ball game.
Well, Marv, he is back in his scoring rhythm, and he still has that uncanny ability to take over a game, and it appears nobody can do a thing about it. A week ago in Orlando, Michael on target with the jump shot in the third quarter, scoring 16 of his 37 points. Thursday, on his favorite stage, Madison Square Garden, brought the Bulls back from 10 down to score 20 in the fourth quarter, and I would not be surprised if Michael got that average up to 30 points a game before this regular season is over.
And the key matchup here today between Detroit and Chicago, Grant Hill and Scottie Pippen going head-to-head.
Well, they know each other very well from this past summer as members of the Olympic team, so there are no secrets. They both have the all-around game, and their stats show that. Both are creators and rebounders. Grant Hill has to carry more of a scoring load. Scottie Pippen, the better defender. And for the Pistons to knock off the champs today, Grant Hill has to thoroughly outplay Scottie Pippen.
And now for more on the quest of Michael Jordan. Let's check in with the Dean, Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Marv. On Michael Jordan's scoring average. Now, we all know he's a man of challenges, so I presented this question to him. I said, Michael, you need 136 points in the next 4 games or average 34 points in the next 4 games to get your average up to 30. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I'm not really focused. I'm just trying to get through the next 4 games where we're successful as a team, but yet I'm healthy going into the playoffs. And if I get 136 points over the next 4 games, great. If not, you know, I'm not worried about the 30-point average.
Yeah, Marvin, right after that, he told me privately he might just get this whole thing out of the way and score 136 today.
All right, thank you, Ahmad. And Matt, sadly, Ahmad has bought right into that. Coming up, it's the Bulls and the Pistons. Back with the starting lineups in a moment. Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills. The Detroit Pistons have lost 19 straight against the Chicago Bulls. The last Detroit win over Chicago, March of 1993. So this is a streak that carries over 4 years. A look at the starting lineups. Scottie Pippen, Jason Caffey, Luke Longley up front, Michael Jordan, Ron Harper in the backcourt. One change in the Detroit starting lineup. Terry Mills making only his fifth start of the season. He's been unhappy about coming off the bench, although earlier in the year very valuable as a guy coming off the bench, but he will start rather than Theo Ratliff. The officials, Bill Oakes, Derek Stafford, and Sean Corbin. Thorpe and Longley on the opening tip, and it's handled by the Bulls.
Well, the big problem lately for the Pistons has been their rebounding at both ends of the floor, in particular defensively, because that's where they really get in trouble. They are very small up front.
And here is Pippen. Scottie Pippen opens with a three, coming off a very strong game against the Knicks on Thursday night. The Chicago Bulls not going through one of their sharper performances, and led by Michael Jordan, who had 20 of his 34 in the fourth quarter, able to pull it out against the Knicks at the Garden. And the foul is called on Longley. So Terry Mills, who is noted for the three-point shooting, going down low and drawing that call.
And he has an outstanding three-point shooting season at 41%, but this is a little bit of a dimension that they're trying to add to Terry Mills' game, so he just does not get so stagnant by always stopping at that three-point line. He does have good moves inside. Last season, you see under double figures, getting that over this year and a career high in the three-pointers, and he's an outstanding passer from that low post if he happens to draw a double team.
The Bulls come in with 5 straight wins. They have won 13 of the last 14. The one loss over that stretch to the Bullets in Landover. And the Bulls maintain possession. The Pistons have dropped 4 in a row. They have failed to score 90 points in those 4 games. And overall, they have lost 9 of the last 13, so they've gone in the other direction after the good start. Caffey and Longley able to pop it back out. Here's Jason Caffey. Rebounded by Terry Mills. And Thorpe able to beat the Bulls down. Otis Thorpe.
And this has been another area of the Pistons game all season long, which has been lacking, and that is getting easy baskets, getting fast breaks, but they do happen to get more here at home, and Grant Hill can certainly deliver the ball.
Scottie Pippen getting inside. Thursday night against the Knicks, it was by design that the Bulls were getting the ball to Scottie Pippen. He and Larry Johnson, who was defending against Pippen, have not been the best of friends. There have been some heavy statements between the two, and the Bulls were just looking to set up Pippen in the early going. He scored 18 of his 33 in the first quarter, and again Pippen seeking to get off to the fast start. 2 minutes have gone by. Longley's pass broken up. He recovers the shot clock running down. Longley. And Longley right there as the Pistons stood around. They were looking for a 24-second call. And Doug Collins over questioning the call with Derek Stafford.
I think he's also questioning with his team for stopping on the buzzer instead of just play it out until you hear a whistle, as the Pistons just all stood around and watched as Luke Longley finished off the play.
Bulls 5 and the Pistons 4. And now a 24-second violation the other way against Detroit.
Now Luke Longley gets the ball in the paint, and inexplicably Lindsey Hunter had a chance to flip that ball away, but as Terry Mills went to the floor, Otis Thorpe, Grant Hill just stood around and watched because they heard the 24 shot clock buzzer and stopped. You stop on the whistle.
Caffey. And Jordan able to run it down. Pippen off the hesitation dribble. And here comes Dumas. Looked like Michael Jordan came up hobbling. Hunter got the step. Lindsey Hunter, a candidate for the Most Improved Player Award. And Michael is trying to walk it off, looking over at the Bulls bench, and Chicago takes a timeout.
Well, Michael Jordan and Grant Hill battling for a rebound as Grant Hill fumbled the ball and started to go with Michael Jordan. No real contact there, but as Michael pulled up to catch the ball, it appears that his right ankle just jammed into the floor. Oh yeah, he turned it over. He turned it over, and he knows right now that he's in a lot of pain. Michael's usually able to play through those kinds of things, but very gingerly moving and then getting the 20-second timeout.
Oh, so they took a 20. Let's check in with Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Marv. It was one of those things where it happens to a lot of guys where you twist your ankle that way. There's a sharp pain, but you can run it out, and Michael has done that. He's back into the game now. It shouldn't bother him. Marv?
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Bulls trainer Chip Schaefer took a look, and Michael Jordan giving the indication that he can play through it. Pippen with the setup for Caffey. Jason Caffey has done an excellent job in the absence of the injured players, Dennis Rodman and Tony Kukoc. Tony Kukoc, incidentally, was placed on the injured list, and the Bulls adding Matt Stagenga, a rookie from Michigan State who was with them in preseason. He's now on the roster. Nice move by Hill. And that is his first field goal. In this area, they're calling Grant Hill Mr. Triple-Double. That is 11th of the season the other night. Caffey off the board. Pistons are standing around.
Oh, both teams very flat-footed defensively, letting people beat them off the dribble, standing, watching the ball off the glass. As neither team appears to have their wake-up call yet. Grant Hill said, what's good of the triple-doubles if we don't win games? I'd rather win a game than get the triple-double anytime.
Right, he had the triple-double in the loss to Charlotte, but very dejected following the game on Friday night. Here's Mills for three. Pistons 11, the Bulls 9.
Now the Bulls are aware of his capability from beyond the arc, and Scottie Pippen rushed out to him, got a hand in his face. But when Terry Mills is in that kind of range and feeling it, he can get on a roll.
Pippen trying to stop the dribble, try to draw the foul off that contact. Mills open for three. And handled by Caffey. Caffey went to post up on Thorpe and then moved outside. And Scottie Pippen with 5 points. He's tied the game at 11.
Well, when the Pistons were playing their best basketball the first 4 months of the season, it seemed that either Joe Dumars, Lindsey Hunter, Terry Mills, 2 of the 3 had to have good shooting games. They haven't had that lately. Another reason why Terry Mills starting today.
Grant Hill with his second field goal. Grant, the NBA's player of the week this past week for the second time this year, averaging close to 30 a game over that stretch. Here's Pippen for three. His second from downtown. He has 8 points in the formula, similar to what took place on Thursday night in the Bulls' last game against the Knicks. Get Pippen involved early. Michael Jordan referred to it as big brother and little brother. Well, Grant Hill getting involved early. He now has 6. Pistons by 1. Here's Harper beating the Pistons down court.
Oh, this really annoys Doug Collins because the Pistons cannot give up those kinds of baskets. They are a perimeter shooting team, which means they should already be back in good position to get back on defense. To get beat like that after a made 10-foot jump shot is unacceptable.
Mills trying to set the pick. Hunter. Thorpe able to keep it alive. And Dumars for three. Joe Dumars, who on Friday night went over the 15,000 career point mark, came in with 15,001, and he continues to add to that total. Pistons lead by 2. Longley looking for position and goes to the hook shot. Kept alive by Caffey. He has done outstanding work around the boards. Sometimes you won't see it on the stat sheet, but he has the ability to keep the ball alive. Caffey with 6 points, 3 rebounds, and the game tied at 18.
When you play the Bulls at full strength, you know you're going to have a problem on the boards with Dennis Rodman, but you just don't expect it when he is out of the lineup. But they are getting hammered on the boards so far.
Thorpe from way outside. And Michael Jordan very quiet here at the start. Jordan feeding Longley. Longley on the recovery. That's his second field goal. Bulls 20 and the Pistons 18. And the ankle seems to be all right. His philosophy apparently Let the other guys get involved, and perhaps later on I will get involved. Timeout call by the Pistons.
Grant Hill's going to make a short little jump shot, but keep an eye on Ron Harper, who's going to take off down the floor. And in transition defense, Joe Dumars is the man that should pick him up, but his initial responsibility is Michael Jordan, and that's all he's looking at. You see Harper going down the floor, Joe pointing to him, and Lindsey Hunter too slow getting back on defense. Anytime you play the Bulls, transition defense is an absolute must, especially after a made field goal.
And we mentioned earlier the Pistons getting off to that strong start. In fact, Detroit at one point had a record of 20-4, and as you can see, they have dropped off considerably. And there have been reports recently that Doug Collins has lost the support of some of his players. Peter Vesey dealt with this on Showtime earlier. He said, contrary to that, no Piston player has directly complained to owner Bill Davidson, though certainly Grant Long is able to hit another three. Grant Long not happy about his playing time, and Doug Collins and Otis Thorpe at one stretch this season were not talking to each other. They've had a very icy relationship, but according to Pete, Doug Collins in no danger of losing the coaching job. Grant Hill, the only one powerful enough to get Doug fired, and he's his greatest advocate. Grant Hill with 8 points. I don't think, even if Grant Hill were thoroughly unhappy, he would not get involved after watching what has happened with Penny Hardaway in Orlando. Even you flash back with a sense of history to Magic Johnson as Thorpe gets down. It counts, and the foul. Remember back in the early 80s when Magic Johnson helped to force a move in Los Angeles.
Well, obviously, Doug Collins and his coaching staff talking to his team about how are we going to score more points. Well, first of all, we got to get some easy baskets and stop relying on our half-court offense, especially when those three-point shots aren't going. So you see the conscious effort of everybody to get down the floor, and Otis Thorpe is one of the best big forward runners. You know, the reason why the Pistons had so much success was because of their team unity, togetherness, chemistry, all of those things, and they have started to fracture and come apart. And obviously, Doug Collins very disappointed about it and really not understanding it, because he feels the way he is working and most of his players are working, everybody should be on the same page, but that is not the case.
8-0 run by Detroit. And Doug Collins, a very, would you say, demanding coach? Very fiery, very emotional.
But also very fair and very honest with his players and what he expects and what he's demanding, and tries to keep in constant communications. It's very difficult to do, but it's a good job of coaching in the NBA and probably in any sport on any level.
Lindsey Hunter extending to an 8-point Piston lead. 2.5 to go in this first quarter. Michael Jordan with his first field goal. So that ends the Piston run. They now lead 28-22.
And just a slight grimace on the face of Michael, backpedaling on defense. I'm sure he's not really quite feeling his feet and ankles under him at this point.
Jordan had a notion to fire it down. Jordan on the floor with Kerr, Caffey, Pippen, and Longley. Jordan tied up. Jordan lost the dribble, and it will be a jump ball.
Well, Michael has been slow to get it going. Find a little post up, just using his ability to rise in the air, get over the defender, and make the short jump shot.
We'll be back in a moment. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Could be a triple-double in the making. Strong start for Grant Hill, who in his third NBA season has never beaten the Bulls. It has been a long time between wins for Detroit over Chicago. Chicago has won 19 straight against the Pistons, and we talked about that with Grant Hill.
After we lost to them last time, I went and bought the Sony PlayStation, and I played the Pistons versus the Bulls, and we won. So it kind of got me up a little bit. So at least I have beaten the Bulls one time, although it might not be on the court. It was on PlayStation. But you know, it's tough, and I think the franchise, I think the fans, I think the players who've been here over the last year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years who've lost to the Bulls, considering it was such a rivalry 6, 7 years ago, and the bad boys and Jordan and Pippen, and now they've just really had our number. It's tough, and it's something that it won't last forever, but it seems like it's been going on forever.
Well, Grant Hill obviously looking for wins anywhere he can find them, and probably looking for another endorsement if he can get one as well.
Otis Thorpe with a strong move. Basket counts, the foul by Luke Longley. Grant also told us in that particular video game between his Pistons and the Bulls, he did score 46 points. Well, the last 7 games for Grant. As I mentioned, he has turned it on recently. NBA Player of the Week last week. Comes in averaging 21.3, averages 9 rebounds and 7 assists. 3-point play for Thorpe, and the Pistons with a 31-22 lead on the Bulls. One of the new additions to the Chicago roster, Brian Williams, has come on for the first time. That's Williams getting the ball. He's been guarded by Theo Ratliff, and Michael Jordan drills from the corner. 4 points for Jordan. Pistons lead by 7.
Talked to Brian Williams before the game, a little upset with me. Last week I said that he looked like he had gained 30, 40 pounds. I was a little bit off. It was 8 pounds.
A little bit off. And Derek Stafford blowing the whistle. A late call. The Bulls were breaking down court, and the foul on Michael Jordan. Now, I'm not sure if Stafford or Oaks made that call, but the Bulls were breaking the other way.
Well, Michael Jordan trying to swipe over the top. He slightly missed. He caught the left elbow of Grant Hill. And Doug Collins immediately popped off the bench, wondering why such a late whistle with a collision like that.
So the Pistons now lead 32-24. Now, who's the man come crunch time? Only you can decide. You can log on to NBA.com and cast your vote for the final NBA.com Player of the Month poll. Balloting begins on Wednesday, and results will be announced Monday, April 21st. NBA.com, all hoops, all the time. Now, let's get back to this Brian Williams scenario, Matt. You claimed he was 30 to 40 pounds overweight. He looks to be a bit overweight, that no question. And you say you were slightly off.
Slightly.
Brian claims he's only 8 pounds. You buy that?
No, but he's probably a lot closer than the 30 or 40. And I said it was more looking. His body was just not as fine-tuned as he throws up that nice little soft jump hook. His body is just not fine-tuned as I was used to seeing a couple of years ago when he played for the Orlando Magic, where he reminded me I used to make a lot of mistakes.
Oh. Well, there's a perception people look heavier on television. 46 seconds remaining in this first quarter. The Bulls 30, the Pistons 33, the Bulls 26. Matchup is now very physical player Michael Curry defending against Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen going glass. He has 10. And the Pistons lead by 5 with a half-minute left in the first.
Well, Grant Hill telling us before the game, when Scottie Pippen has the perimeter jump shot going, you really have got problems, because now you got to come out and challenge that, and he has that ability. Get in the lane and create.
Ratliff finding Thorpe, backing on Williams. Otis Thorpe. Oh. It will count. The Bulls were looking for offensive interference. Final seconds of the quarter. Pistons by 7. Pippen angling for the shot. Strong first quarter for Detroit after the slow start. Pistons hit 13 of 19 from the field, led by Grant Hill, 4 of 4, 10 points. Scottie Pippen, 4 for 7 from the field for 10. After one, it's the Pistons 35 and the Bulls 28.
This is the NBA on NBC. The game of the week.
Grant Hill worried about the Pippen jump shot. This is the key matchup in the game, as Scottie Pippen got his first field goal from deep in the right corner. And then good movement off the ball by Scottie, and a nice up movement, a little up fake to beat Grant Hill. And as Scottie Pippen told us, what you worry about with Grant Hill is his penetration. He has to get up tighter into his chest as Grant gets to the hole.
And earlier we talked with both Pippen and Hill about the matchup.
You know, Scotty's a great defender. I think he unlike a lot of people who play me, a lot of people back off me and let me size him up and do what I have to do. He gets all up under me and really hassles me up the court, pressures me, gets all under me and really doesn't allow me to size him up and really tries to dictate, you know, what he wants me to do as opposed to what I want to do.
I try to get up the court and make him have to work, bring the ball up. I know he's pretty much their primary ball handler, guy who gets them into their offense and allow them to be able to execute under his ability to create. So when I'm able to make him work the ball all the way up the court, allows me to get better defense position on him.
Well, Scottie Pippen on the subject of Grant Hill, the second quarter getting underway. Blocked by Theo Ratliff. He is a shot block specialist. Hill trying to put a move on Judd Bushler, who just came on. Ratliff. Well, Brian Williams did not go for the fake, and Theo Ratliff, the second-year man from Wyoming, first-round pick a year ago, showing the outside touch. Pistons 39 and the Bulls 28.
And this is a scoring outburst for the Pistons, who have been finding all kinds of trouble trying to get baskets, and are doing against one of the best defensive teams in the Chicago Bulls.
And Grant Hill did not like that call. A hysterical Doug Collins reacting to the call.
A sardonic laugh by Doug, no doubt saying, "Are you kidding me?"
So that's the first on Hill. And Grant sitting down. He'll get a rest, leaves with 10 points. Brian Williams is stopped. Dumars for three. Michael Jordan. Well, Michael Jordan over Aaron McKee, who had checked in, replacing Grant Hill. McKee, the one-time Portland Trailblazer. Pistons now lead 39-30, and Jordan with 6 points. 3 of 5 from the field. 2 minutes have gone by in the second quarter. Beautiful backdoor pass. Dumars connecting with McKee.
Well, the Pistons going to the matchup advantage. Joe Dumars posting up Steve Kerr. Steve's teammates realizing he needed help, and that opened up that lane on the beautiful behind-the-back pass.
Phil Jackson now has Brian Williams up front with Judd Bushler and Dickie Simpkins. This is Simpkins with the shot, and both clubs shooting well. Pistons 41 and the Bulls 32. Chicago Bulls have clinched home court advantage throughout the playoffs today, looking for win number 69. While Detroit with 4 straight losses, and they have now dropped to the number 6 position in the Eastern Conference.
Well, Joe Dumars is one of the few post-up threats that Doug Collins has at his disposal. Michael Jordan coming over to help out, and that left the opening for the nifty play.
Well, here in the Detroit area, there have been a host of rumors regarding Pistons coach Doug Collins, that he's lost the support of his players. Team captains Grant Hill and Joe Dumars, though, set the record straight today. They say it is not true. Dumars said, "This is the guy I want to finish my career with." There have been some problems with a couple of players, in particular, as we mentioned earlier, Otis Thorpe and Grant Long. Thorpe and Collins have had problems for 2 seasons, and supposedly, Matt, the breaking point came in early February. They actually argued during a home game against the Phoenix Suns, and Thorpe became openly defiant, ignored plays and defensive assignments, did not participate in timeouts, and that lasted for a while, but apparently both have now come to grips with that. The Pistons, incidentally, were 33-11 before that game, but since then they have gone 18-15.
You know, the NBA, there are very many player complaints on a daily basis with just about every team, and much of the time it comes from agents to general managers. Players aren't happy with their playing time. They're not happy with the contract that they have or they might be getting, or free agency, or all those kinds of things. So it goes on quite a bit. It just doesn't always get a lot of publicity.
Doug Collins also told his team the other day, "If you don't want to be here, let me know." and will make the accommodation. Scottie Pippen on fire here in the first half. He now has 12 points, and the Pistons lead 41-34. Both clubs have shot well. The follow by McKee. Detroit with 35 points in the first quarter, equaling their season high from most points in a quarter. Had 35 in late February in the fourth quarter against Golden State. Scottie Pippen with 14 points. So the Pistons lead by 7 with 4 minutes gone by in the second quarter.
We just saw a post up by Scottie Pippen over the smaller Aaron McKee, and that's probably something Scottie Pippen should do more of when he has that size advantage.
And a loose ball foul is called by the outside official, Sean Corbett.
Well, because of the triangle offense, the Bulls don't run what you call straight posts up. They try to do it out of their offense. You saw just a little rub cut off a medium post on the right side to get over to the left, and they just take it out of their offense. But many times, a 6'7" long-arm Scottie Pippen has a huge advantage inside, and oftentimes doesn't take advantage of it.
Detroit shooting 16 of 24, 67% from the field. Good save by Mills. And here's Dumars for three. Ron Harper back on the floor, being guarded by Joe Dumars. And it was deflected out of bounds.
I don't know if you heard the booming voice of Coach Phil Jackson of the Chicago Bulls. Said it, Brian, as Brian not really familiar with that particular option on the triangle. He's coming out to meet him to let him know exactly what he should have done on the play.
Well, 5 minutes have gone by in the second quarter.
Well, Scottie Pippen carrying much of the offensive load for the Chicago Bulls. 6 for 9 from the field for 14 points. Scottie Pippen so much healthier at this point in the season than he was in a year ago. And big reason why that jumper's going now. His legs are under him as he's doing it from the outside and doing it from the inside as well. His job is as point forward to handle the ball much of the time. Loves to make plays in the open floor. One of the best defenders in the business, a perennial member of the all-defensive team. And when you're playing Scottie Pippen, you got to give up something. So you say make him beat you from the outside. So far, he's doing it today, although the Bulls find themselves down by 7.
And here's Jordan for three. Back comes Grant Hill, who just made his return. Lead off the break to set it up for Otis Thorpe. Pistons 45 and the Bulls 36. Splendid shooting by Detroit. 18 of 29, 62%. Pippen. Oh, that would have been some play by Jud Buechler had he put it down. And here's McKee getting inside.
Well, Doug Collins has been searching for his wing players to get out and run and let Grant Hill and others create. Aaron McKee doing it off the bench for Detroit.
And Jordan lost it. 3 Bulls back, so Hill pulled it back. And now Hill backing Buechler. Try to go glass. Able to recapture. And again off the dribble. Puts the move on Buechler, but this time gave it up. Just under 6 minutes remaining, first half. Dumars. Pistons lead by 11. It's their biggest lead of the game. Pippen, yes. 16 for Pippen.
Well, last Sunday against Orlando, Scottie Pippen got off to a great start in the first quarter. Thursday night against the Knicks also, and here in this first half, really doing it. That one was off the wrong foot as Scottie Pippen just feeling like he could kick it in right now.
Battle between Mills and Buechler as Mills sets it up, banks his way, using his bulk, and is able to spin it home off the glass. Well, Terry Mills, who goes 6'10", 250 pounds, went to the power move.
Well, when we did the Bulls Detroit game on Christmas night, Doug Collins saying then he didn't think his team felt they could beat Chicago. Didn't have the confidence. They certainly have that look about them today, but keep in mind, no Tony Kukoc, no Dennis Rodman, a different Chicago Bulls team.
Dennis Rodman saying that he'd like to get back for those final 2 games of the regular season. Bill Weddington also on the injured list. Shot clock at 4. Here's Thorpe. And Jordan reaching for the rebound. Pistons up by 11. Steve Kerr met by Otis Thorpe on the switch, and a foul is called. Bulls trying to take advantage of the switching defense. It's on McKee. Well, coming to NBC this May from Hallmark Entertainment, a compelling adventure, an all-star cast, The Odyssey, coming this May to NBC. Four and a half remaining in the first half. Marv Albert, Matt Gukas, and Ahmad Rashad from the Palace of Auburn Hills. Scottie Pippen took his eye off that two-handed pass from Michael Jordan. Only the 3rd turnover committed by Chicago, and Detroit has just 3.
Well, no surprise there, Marv. These two teams have been 1-2 all season long in taking care of the ball. Of course, that's why the Bulls have such an outstanding record, a key factor for them, and why the Detroit Pistons got off to such a great start this season.
Again, Thorpe working against Longley. Nice spin move. Ratliff couldn't convert, and then Longley tripped up. Foul committed by Thorpe. That is his first. Well, as you mentioned, Matt, the Chicago Bulls right there in terms of fewest turnovers. Detroit is number 1, averaging just 12.6, followed by the Bulls. Now Jordan working against Dumars, and it's broken up. We are not seeing the usual Michael Jordan style of play here in the first half. He's coughed it up a couple of times. Came up hobbling earlier, able to work it off, and Hill putting the move on Jordan. So Michael picks up his second, or was it Longley? Let's see. It is Longley.
Grant Hill calling for the ball in a post position, some part of his game that he's been trying to improve, and probably will have to do even more of that this summer as he came back this year with an improved jump shot up to about 17 feet. He wanted the ball and said, hey, I got this little guy, Michael Jordan, on me. I'm just going to take him to the basket. Not really.
Doug Collins upset because he felt that last foul should have been called on Jordan. Not Longley, who sits down. Luke with 4 points, 3 rebounds.
And he also felt that Grant Hill was in the act of shooting.
Detroit trainer Mike Abdenauer lending a hand to Brian Williams, who thanks him by colliding with him.
Brian, famous for his little trips off the sideline, over benches, over scoring tables, and he'll land in the crowd from time to time.
Pistons 49 and the Bulls 38 with 3:20 to go in this first half. Pretty pass from Hill to set it up for Ratliff.
And what a catch and finish by Ratliff, protecting the basketball, feeling the defender, and able to get up and through.
That's the 6th assist for Grant Hill. Steve Kerr hammers the 3. And the Pistons lead 51-41. Detroit Pistons seeking to put an end to a 4-game losing streak. Backtracking even more, they've dropped 9 of the last 13, and Grant Hill with a beautiful move. He has 12 points. Pistons lead by 12.
And a good call by Doug Collins. A little bit unusual pick and roll. A point guard, if you will, Lindsey Hunter against a small forward, and the Bulls have trouble defending that play.
Pippen eluding Hill, and rejected by Ratliff. Pistons on the run. Here's Thorpe all the way, and Hill slams it home. And they're going wild here at the Palace. The Pistons lead by 14. Caffey right back for Chicago. A very spirited group of Detroit Pistons here in the first half. I didn't think they were into it offensively early or defensively. A lot of standing around, but they have really picked it up.
And it's because of the running game. Phil Jackson up along the sidelines. You normally don't see him standing up. He's upset with his team's transition defense.
Thorpe missing on the putback. Minute 45 remaining in this first half. Here's Williams. Ryan Williams with a strong move. That's his second field goal. And the Pistons lead by 10. Detroit calling for time. Down to a minute and a half remaining in the half. Pistons lead by 10 points. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm in New York. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll hear from Shaquille O'Neal of the Los Angeles Lakers. He's back playing for the Lakers after missing 28 games. Shaq's Lakers host the Utah Jazz in a doubleheader game that most of you will see after the Bulls and the Pistons. Right now, Detroit leads it by 10 as we go back to Marv Albert, Matt Gukas, and Ahmad Rashad at the Palace.
Thank you, Hannah. And a red-hot shooting first half by the Detroit Pistons. They are just under 55%, led by Grant Hill.
Why does he have 11 triple-doubles to lead the league? Beautiful pass inside to Theo Ratliff. And then the ability to get in the lane and put up the floater with his scoring ability. And then this guy can get to the boards, both the defensive and the offensive board, as Grant Hill showing you almost the whole package. Here to see why he is a triple-double, those 11 triple-doubles, and a lot of people way back in the rearview mirror. Anthony Mason and Mark Jackson with just 4, and Clyde Drexler with 3.
Grant Hill led the NBA with 10 last season. He is already 6th on the all-time triple-double list, although this is a stat that was not compiled until 1979. Cappy on the foul. For example, Oscar Robertson and Wilt Chamberlain have not received their due. Magic Johnson, #1, followed by Larry Bird and Fat Lever, one-time Denver Nugget. Robertson actually averaged a triple-double for the old Cincinnati Royals back in the 61-62 season, which is just incredible. And Hill will head to the foul line. Hit by Brian Williams.
Marv, I think triple-doubles are harder to come by right now because there's less possessions in the game. Back in the so-called old days, a lot more scoring opportunities, which meant missed shots, so more rebounds, more chances for assists.
And Hill with 6 assists along with 15 points. Well, next, the NBA action will continue. Most of you will see Karl Malone and the Utah Jazz go up against Shaquille O'Neal and the Los Angeles Lakers. Others will see the Sonics and the Rockets. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Chicago Bulls have not gotten to the foul line at all in this first half. Detroit is now 8 for 8 at the line. Here's Caffey. He has 10 points. It's the Pistons 57 and the Bulls 47.
And it hasn't been because the Bulls have not been in and around the basket banging on the boards. It's just the Pistons have been smart about it in the sense when they're beaten, they're beaten. They're not compounding it by committing the foul.
And Mills with another 3. That's his 3rd from downtown. He has 13 points. Detroit leads by 13. That was assist number 6 for Joe Dumars. Ryan Williams gets inside. Ryan Williams looking sharper and sharper. Late addition to the roster. Ryan Williams playing only his 6th game as a member of the Chicago Bulls after sitting out, coming back from knee surgery, and he was a holdout, not agreeing to terms with the LA Clippers. Mills again with 10 seconds left in the half. Pistons by 14. Now to 5 seconds. Pippen for 3. And that will do it. Well, the Detroit Pistons, who were outscored by Charlotte in the second half Friday night, 52-35. They had Doug Collins saying, "We've lost our confidence." Able to turn it around here in the first half against the Bulls, despite the shooting of Scottie Pippen. Grant Hill with 16 points. Mills 5 of 6 from the field. He has 16. Coming up, the Prudential halftime report in a moment.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
Halftime in Auburn Hills with the Pistons looking to break that 19-game losing streak against the Bulls. They lead it by 14, 63-49. Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm back in New York along with Peter Vesey and Julius Irving on this doubleheader Sunday on NBC. Following the Bulls and the Pistons, we'll have one of two games from the Western Conference. Some of you will see Seattle and Houston, but most of you will see the Lakers hosting the Utah Jazz. Utah has won 15 straight, but the Lakers have Shaquille O'Neal back. After missing 28 games with a knee injury, he returned on Friday night, and Shaq had 24 points in 24 minutes against Phoenix. Yesterday, Shaq spoke with Greg Gumbel.
I'm throwing my ugly knee brace and try to come out there and play.
The big fella is back. He is back, and the crowd is with him. And he's underneath. Reverse layup, good. That's got the rebound. Forget it. Slam dunk. He's back. He does a 360 turn and out.
I think you took shots for the first 4 possessions. Your plan, Del Harris's plan, did it just happen that way?
Before the game, I went up to my guys, bring it to me, because I was feeling pretty good, feeling pretty loose. And usually for me, this has been happening ever since, high school. If I get the ball first and, hit my first shot, I'm going to have a pretty good game.
How can you know that before the game even begins?
That's just rhythm. I grew up with that type of rhythm. If I hit the first shot, I'm going to have a pretty good game. If I hit like the first 4 or 5 shots, I'm going to have a real good game.
There's Shaq with the cleanup. 20 points for him tonight.
Knowing that game action and practice are 2 different things, and I know you felt good after you practiced, but how did the knee feel after the game was over?
Feels pretty good. I always tell my people and my teammates, don't ask me how my knee's doing. If it wasn't doing good, I wouldn't be trying to play. So obviously, my knee is doing fine. After the game, it felt fine.
Understand it was kind of a tense meeting for you before the doctor gave you clearance to play, that you were going to be pretty insistent on playing against Phoenix?
It wasn't like a tense meeting. It's just that, the doctor said 8 to 10 weeks, but me being my own doctor, I was saying 4 to 6 weeks. So when I would go back to him 4 to 6 weeks, he would say no. And I just went back to him about 10 times, and they just kept saying no, 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 no. And I told him yesterday that if he said no, I was going to tear his office up.
So he said yes?
Yeah.
You have the Utah Jazz up next. They've taken 3 out of 3 from the Lakers this year. Average margin of victory, 18 points. Do they have your attention?
They play well. They've been playing together for 12 years, 13 years.
So all things considered, in your opinion, who's the team to beat in the West?
I'm not a critic. I have no idea. But I know that we're going to be up there. We're going to be up there.
Would you like to be a critic one day?
Nah. Y'all don't make enough money for me.
The Lakers get it back out on the perimeter. Now over the top to Shaq.
When this team is at its best, you're in a half-court set, and you're operating out of that. But you also have some guys on this team who are at their best when they're running. Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel. So what is the best approach to this game for the Lakers?
We just have to go out and play our game. We want to, just get out and run. We don't really want to come down and be calling plays. We just want to run, gun, shoot, dunk, look in the camera, helping you jump out the seat. Shaq's the MVP. He might have missed 30 games, but he's still the MVP.
Well, Shaq can smile because he's back, but the Lakers still have some other injury concerns. Nick Van Exel with a sore left knee, and he was unable to complete practice yesterday. And Peter, you just spoke with Del Harris a little while ago. They got some other problems on this team. What's his biggest concern?
Well, Eldon Campbell's been out for a while. He won't know whether he's going to play today till he gets to the arena. He's got a buttocks problem. He's having trouble running, lifting his right leg. But Del says he's not worried at all about Shaq. It's getting Eldon Campbell, Robert Horry, and Shaq together. together. They've only played together as a unit for 10 or 11 games, whereas the Jazz starting lineup has been out there for 77 games this season. The other concern is George McLeod. He's on the injured list right now. They gave up a #1 pick and Joe Klein for him, and here's a guy that they got to play with Shaq to stretch the defense, but he hasn't played one game with him, and he might not make the playoff roster.
Yeah, in retrospect, that is not looking like a good move at all. Meanwhile, what were your impressions of Shaq's 24 minutes on Friday night, Doc?
They were very impressive 24 minutes. He was big, he was dominant. The obvious things to look for, you know, a player's stamina, their timing, their anticipation. I think he showed great stamina, pretty good timing. His touch was a little off, and his anticipation has never been a strong suit for Shaquille.
All right, well, they've lost in all 3 meetings with the Jazz this season, but Shaq has fared fairly well. He's played in 2 of those games, averaged 23.5 points, 11.5 rebounds. Coming up at 3:30 Eastern, it will be the Jazz and the Lakers for most of you. Some of you will see another great Western Conference matchup as Houston hosts Seattle. When we return, we'll talk about the first half of the Bulls and Pistons. But first, a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. Welcome back. The Pistons lead the Bulls at halftime 63-49 as we talk about the first half. And Doc, your point in the pregame was that Detroit would have to open things up a little bit, play with some reckless abandon to try to finally get over the hump against Chicago. How do you think they've done in the first half?
I think they've played well enough to win. As a matter of fact, I anticipate in the second half that if they can stay hot, if they can stay balanced, and they can continue to take advantage of the fact that Tony Kukoc is not here and Dennis Rodman's not there, then they got a real good chance of winning this game. I think they've also made it into a playground-style basketball game, a game that Michael Jordan excels at, but unfortunately, I think that ankle is bothering him.
Yeah, it might be. Jordan's stats so far in the game, he's 3 of 7, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, but as we all know, as the New York Knicks know, he can turn it on in the end.
And,
but,
if he was really hurt, Hannah, he would have needed a full timeout instead of a 20-second
right, exactly.
to recover. Right.
Just to recover, right?
Right?
So, you know, we focus on Jordan, Pippen, Hill, and all the superstars. We've got somebody else having a good game out there.
Well, Terry Mills is definitely the M factor here. 16 points and 5 rebounds. In the first 3 games this season against the Bulls, he averaged 2.7 points. So he is a free agent, so he's helping himself a little bit here.
Yeah, and 4 of 5 from three-point land. So we started the second half coming up, and a reminder for you that next Saturday night we have got the Bulls hosting the New York Knicks. NBA Showtime gets it started at 8 o'clock Eastern. The tip-off is at 8:30 Eastern. It is halftime in Detroit. Pistons leading the Bulls by 14, and we'll send it back for the second half right after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
Ahmad Rashad back in Detroit, where the Pistons leads the Bulls at halftime 63-49. And Doug Collins told his team at halftime, very happy with what they were doing. Stay aggressive, do not get timid, and expect to run by the Bulls in the third quarter early. Now, Phil Jackson told his team that Detroit is playing like they want it much more than they do. He said their offense is very stagnant. They have not been running their offense, and really upset with them about their defense and all the turnovers that they've had. Marv?
All right, thanks, Ahmad. And with 63 points for the half, that's just 2 under the Piston high for the season. They had 65 against the Timberwolves back on March the 21st. And Terry Mills, who has been struggling recently from three-point range, has certainly picked it up this afternoon.
Well, Doug Collins looking for more scoring. Terry Mills gets the start over Theo Ratliff, and the Pistons go to play. There's a pick and roll with Terry Mills drifting out just right there at that top of the three-point arc area, where it is so unnatural for his opponent, another big forward or center, to come out and chase him. And he feels very comfortable there, but it's also shown us a little bit of a post-up game, as he has really shown that three-pointer, one of the best in the league off the bench.
And Matt, at one point in early December, he had hit 13 straight three-pointers that tied an NBA record. He's among the leaders in three-point shooting. Joe Dumars is number 4. Mills in the top 12. May wonder the high for the season against the Bulls for a half. Well, it was 72 by the Lakers in mid-December. So Detroit with a high number against this excellent defensive team, the Chicago Bulls, with 63 points here at the half.
They're the Pistons, 7th in the league, but a single-season team record for them. But Lindsey Hunter, Joe Dumars, and Terry Mills, the big factors, and they have to do it for Detroit. You can expect Chicago's defense to really pick up here to start the third quarter.
And Hunter attempts the three-pointer. The Bulls open with Harper and Jordan in the backcourt. Longley, Pippen, and Caffey on the front line. Longley being played by Mills. And here's Longley. Strong move on Terry Mills. The Pistons 63 and the Bulls 51. Hunter and Dumars at the guards. Thorpe, Mills, and Hill up front. Hill went to the crossover to set it up for Mills for three. And Michael Jordan to the board. Longley was wide open. Spotted by Harper, and immediate 22nd timeout called by Doug Collins.
Well, just simple little ball movement by the Bulls in their offense and confusion by the Pistons. But the Pistons are going to have problems inside defensively. They lost a lot of toughness when Rick Mahorn went down with an injury. Don Reed has been hurt much of the year, and Grant Long has not been an effective player since coming over from the Atlanta Hawks. He should be able to give the Pistons some physical presence inside, but without that kind of toughness, it's been tough for Theo Ratliff, and Terry Mills is just not a physical defender. Luke Longley could have his way inside.
Rick Mahorn is recovering from foot surgery. Don Reed out with a sprained knee. He's missed the last 7 games now, including today. 10-point lead for Detroit. They have dropped the last 19 straight games to Chicago. The last Detroit win over Chicago, March of 1993. And he'll try to save it, and looking to call for time, but could not hold on, so the ball back to the Bulls. What a busy stretch for Detroit. It's their third of 4 games in 5 days. Caffey and Hill with the rebound. Hill pumps it down to Thorpe. The Pistons 65, the Bulls 53.
Hard to understand why Jason Caffey cannot get back with Otis Thorpe, as he was way behind, trailing the play.
Fourth pass thrown by Longley to Caffey. 2 minutes gone by in the third quarter. Capacity crowd 21,000 here at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Caffey closed the baseline on Hill. Michael Jordan has been in an assist mode to this point. Has not been looking for the shot.
And the Bulls have been very deliberate. They're just walking the ball, trotting it into the front court, not really pushing it up and putting some pressure on the Pistons defense, and that will play right into Detroit's hands.
Longley. Well, look, Longley has 10 points. And the Pistons lead by 10. Dumars played by Harper. Hunter. And Dumars for 3. That's only his second field goal. He has 6 points. Harper getting down, but met by Hunter. Good recovery by Lindsey Hunter. Jordan for 3. Harper with the open 3. Longley had it knocked away.
Well, the shots look way off, mainly because the legs of the Bulls looking very heavy right now. Joe Dumars trying to bring the house down with yet another 3-point shot.
And Chicago, unlike Detroit, has had some time off. Their last game was Thursday night, the win over the Knicks in New York. Jordan. Well, that's his first field goal of this third quarter. 4 of 9 from the field. He has just 8 points. Pistons lead 68-57. Screen set by Thorpe to unleash Dumars. Turned back as he was stripped by Harper. Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Well, for the first time today, he hits 2 in a row, and the Piston lead is down to 9. They've led by as many as 14. Now Pippen putting some pressure on Hill. Mills from downtown. Michael Jordan also in a rebounding mode this afternoon. 7 rebounds for Jordan, along with 5 assists. Here's Caffey, yes. And the Bulls right back into it. Within 7, the Pistons call for time.
Well, Michael Jordan trying to get himself going offensively, has been doing all the other things to try to keep his team within the game. Has the post-up advantage over Joe Dumars, just jumps over him. And then off the Ron Harper strip from behind. Scottie Pippen taking the middle on the fast break. Michael Jordan will find the open area for the jump shot.
And the Bulls have outscored the Pistons 12-5 here in the third. Well, a snowy day, at least earlier here in the Detroit area. Looks like the snow has stopped. Game 2 of our doubleheader coming up, so we suggest you go online to NBCSports.com for complete game previews and scouting reports on the matchups. Plus, this week, the interactive poll question asks, who do you think should be the NBA Coach of the Year? A host of worthy candidates, including both of today's coaches. Quincy Hunter with 6 points. And we want to hear from you. You can cast your vote at NBCSports.com. We were talking about this yesterday during the Miami Knick telecast. We mentioned Pat Riley and Jerry Sloan and Phil Jackson, Lenny Wilkins, Doug Collins maybe earlier in the season. Mills off the steal, Danny Ainge. One other name, how about P.J. Carlesimo, the Portland Trailblazers? Things have turned around for P.J.
Well, they are an exciting team to watch, a dangerous team coming out of the playoffs. And when all that talk started about P.J. possibly losing his job, the Trailblazers went on a tear. Of course, P.J. has that great demeanor, personality, dealt with the whole thing as you would expect. And when they start to lose a couple of games, I think he's looking for the rumors to fly again to get his team going.
That foul on Pippen is first. Oh, what a fake by Hill. Brad Hill with the fake to put Pippen in the air. Mr. Triple-Double is on his way to number 12 for the season. And the Pistons lead by 11, just under 6 minutes remaining in the third. Michael Jordan posting up Joe Dumars. And Michael lifting it here in the third quarter.
I think Doug Collins and the Pistons have to be reasonably happy that the Bulls are pretty much taking a lot of jump shots. They have not gone to the free throw line yet, and that's where Detroit can get into a lot of trouble.
Dumars for 3. Joe Dumars in his 12th NBA season out of McNeese State. Come back strong after an injury-troubled year last season. Foul on Hill is second.
Grant Hill has shown us that crossover move a number of times today, able to get his defender leaning one way, swing it over to the other way as Scottie Pippen knows it's coming, has a difficult time trying to stop it. And Michael Jordan feels very comfortable with that post move against Joe Dumars, being stronger and a little bit taller, able to just jump over the top.
Third straight field goal for Jordan. Again, posting up Dumars. And Caffey could not put it down. Foul is called a push. Oh, Jason Caffey just slammed it down out of frustration after the whistle. Foul committed by Otis Thorpe. And that is the second team foul committed by the Pistons. The Bulls with 1. 5:11 remaining in the third. And the Pistons lead by 12. And pass Here's Dumars, 2-on-1, leads Thorpe. And that leads to a Chicago timeout. Phil Jackson very upset.
Ahmad Rashad back in Detroit, and I'm joined now by one of my cohorts, Calvin Hill. And Calvin, now, I had to ask you this because your son has been telling me that all the time you keep telling him that you can give him tips on basketball because you were an all-city basketball player in New York.
I scored 59 points once in New York. Me and Kareem and all the great playground legends used to take it to the rim.
Yeah, but I've been trying to look for you. You said you were all city. I've been searching. I can't find that anywhere.
Well, they don't, it's on microfiche, so you have to really go and research it. Probably at the Library of Congress.
Well, let me ask you another thing. Now, at what point did your son beat you on one-on-one? How old was he?
He was 13 years old.
And you can say that without being embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, he was 13. He was taller than me, though. He took me in the paint.
And you're cheering on today. Nice to see you here.
Good seeing you.
All right,
Take
back
care.
to you, Marv.
All right, thank you, Ahmad. And Matt, I would expect that Ahmad will be checking out the microfilm tomorrow to see if Calvin Hill was being credible with that 59-point game. Jason Caffey on the foul. That is his third. At one point, the Bulls had that Piston lead down to 7, but a 9-2 run the last 2 minutes. And the Pistons able to regroup. Now an offensive foul. Illegal pick set by Thorpe. That is his third. And the ball back to Chicago. Very quiet first half for Michael Jordan. At one point came up limping. Did not look to shoot much. He's come on here, though, in the third. He's hit his last 3 shots. He has 12 points in all. Scottie Pippen got off to the fast start. Pippen leading the way with 16. Shot clock running down. Jordan is hit from behind as Hunter came over to help out and made contact with the back of Jordan's head.
Good idea by Lindsey Hunter, knowing with the shot clock winding down, Joe Dumars having some problems guarding Michael in these types of situations, coming over to challenge the shot, but Michael's backward momentum took his body right into Lindsey Hunter, and it was a foul, and now going in line for the first time.
So the Bulls making their first appearances at the line. Pistons now lead 77-64.
And this is the man that will lead the pack of the Bulls to the foul line. He shoots between 7 and 8 a game. Scottie Pippen will get his share. After that, not too many free throw opportunities for the rest of the Bulls. A lot of jump shooting in their triangle offense.
Scottie Pippen picking up Grant Hill deeper and deeper. That time had him in the backcourt, but it has not bothered Hill. Hill with 20 points. 8 assists, 6 rebounds.
Now, this is a typical Detroit strong performance. They do play good, solid defense, but they also play it with their offense. They keep the ball for long periods of the shot clock, wind up getting a good shot, get back on defense, and they're in control of the game right now. But they know in the back of their minds that Michael Jordan is always waiting to ignite.
Foul on Mills. Pistons with their 4th team foul. Bulls with just 2. Steve Kerr is back. Phil Jackson looking for some offense. Jordan again puts the move on Dumars. Good play by Mills, able to tap it off to Hunter. Hill off the fake. Pippen went down on that feint to the right by Hill. Illegal defense called for the first time against the Pistons.
While Terry Mills backing into the lane there, sensing his teammates needed a little help. His man was above the tip of the circle, and Terry dropped into the lane, and the illegal defense called immediately.
Down to 3:15 remaining in the third. Jordan going glass. And he'll head back to the line.
Calls on Theo Radlett for the second.
Foul on Theo Radlett. Well, next Saturday you can start your NBA on NBC viewing early with a special primetime showtime. That will include bonus coverage of the matchup between the Magic and the Heat at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and then a special primetime NBA on NBC Game of the Week. The Eastern Conference rivalry continues. Patrick Ewing of the New York Knicks will be in the Windy City taking on Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls next Saturday, starting at the special time of 8 o'clock Eastern right here on NBC. The Knicks with the victory over Miami in Miami yesterday. Chicago with the best record in the NBA, 68-10. Detroit in the midst of a tailspin. They dropped off to 51-26. They're number 6, a half game behind Charlotte, and now 2.5 behind New York and Atlanta. Offensive foul. It's on Hunter.
Phil Jackson went to an early substitution in this third quarter. He didn't sense that Ron Harper was really into it. He has had leg problems all season long. He lost Joe Dumars a couple of times for open looks at three-point shots, so he came with Steve Kerr. Now, Steve really hasn't got involved in scoring, but not really a tough matchup out there for him right now, guarding a Lindsey Hunter who stays on the perimeter. But what Steve Kerr gives you, even if he's not making shots, you have to honor his presence. You got to stay on him out above the three-point line, and that enables a Michael Jordan to do some damage inside.
Well, that was a loose ball foul, putting Caffey at the line. So the Bulls are now finding themselves at the line here in this third quarter. Caffey only 65% from the free throw line, able to convert 1 of 2. And the Pistons lead 79-68. Just under 3 minutes left in the third. And this time the foul on Thorpe, making the hard contact with Jordan. For Thorpe, it is number 4.
I think he rattled the teeth of Michael Jordan in this one as he came over very quickly, and Michael was already, he saw him coming, was already starting to move, but each player's momentum going in opposite directions, and the strong body of Otis Thorpe hitting the almost equally strong body of Michael Jordan. Michael took the worst of it.
Offensive foul on that illegal pick. Thorpe sitting down. Chicago scored its last 5 points at the foul line. They're down by 11. Screen and roll with Longley. Caffey. And a foul again against the Pistons. Foul on Dumars. And Detroit is over the foul limit, so once again, Chicago to the line. Joe Dumars, who was certainly a good guy on the bad boy Pistons. Joe Dumars, the most valuable player of the 1989 NBA Finals in the sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Joe Dumars has played himself into a new contract for the Detroit Pistons, and a very long and successful career with those 2 NBA championships, the 905 games, the milestone of 15,000 points. And when Joe came out of McNeese State, he was strictly an offensive player, but learned very quickly with this team under Chuck Daly that the only way he was going to get playing time is if he put his nose to the defensive end of the floor, which he did, and became a very solid defender in this league.
The Pistons by 9. Chicago has missed his last 5 shots, but they're doing it at the free throw line. Here's Mills. And Jordan with the rebound.
2 minutes left in the third.
Michael tried to put a move on Dumars going left, but Dumars stayed right with him.
And that collision underneath the basket, Theo Ratliff, Scottie Pippen came away with it, still shaking his right hand.
Here's Jordan. Michael Jordan with 18 points, and he's brought the Bulls within 7 with 1:35 left in the third. Hill to the right hand. Hill with the rebound. Hunter for 3. With the Bulls in the midst of a charge, the look away from Brian Williams. Bulls wanted a foul, nothing called, but it cuts it to a 5-point Detroit lead. 8-0 run by Chicago, and a timeout taken by the Pistons.
Theo Ratliff going to the basket, high in the air. Here's Scottie Pippen underneath the basket, and keep an eye on Theo Ratliff as he is coming into the lane trying to get this shot off, and Scottie Pippen going up with that right hand, apparently caught it on the right elbow or right inside forearm of Theo Ratliff, and has some, take a look at it on the left-hand part of your screen as Scottie Pippen just ever so slightly caught his fingers on the arm of Theo Ratliff, and he's in some discomfort right now as trainer Chip Schaefer takes a look.
Scottie Pippen got off to the fast start, all 16 of his points in the first half. Chicago with an 11-2 run, able to trim that lead from 14 down to 5. Certainly a familiar pattern when you watch Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls distributing the ball early, not looking to the offense. Had only 6 points at the half. 12 of his 18 have come here in the third quarter. You can see Scottie Pippen in a great deal of pain.
Well, anytime you jam your fingers and you hope for Scottie Pippen's sake that that's all it is, it's going to take a little while, and every time you bang him into something, it's going to hurt for a while. You hope it's not anything more serious than jam fingers, where the possibility could be some dislocation. And on the all-important right hand of Scottie Pippen, where he handles the ball so much, and of course his shot.
Well, it's been a tough day physically for the Chicago Bulls. Back in the first quarter, Michael Jordan came up limping after this save
as he turned his right ankle, and he was running around gingerly for a number of minutes before he got involved offensively. And then just moments ago, Theo Ratliff going to the basket, Scottie Pippen trying to block it, jammed his fingers.
Now let's go to Ahmad for a report.
All right, Marv, Scottie Pippen has jammed the ring finger of his right hand. A lot of pain, can't make a fist. Those were the Detroit doctors taking a look at it. They've just taken him back in the back to take an x-ray of it, and I'll keep you posted as to what happens after that, Marv.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Detroit back to the offense as we come up on a minute left in the third. It's down to a 5-point Piston lead. Here's Mills. Well, they've missed their previous 5 shots. 18 points for Terry Mills. Pistons 81, the Bulls 74. Judd Pushler replacing Scottie Pippen. Williams at the high post. Brian Williams looking more and more comfortable in a Chicago uniform.
Well, Brian isn't wasting a lot of time. When he's getting the ball in certain parts of the floor, he realizes that it is a scoring opportunity for him. Other parts of the floor, he has to swing the ball or reverse, so he's getting more and more comfortable with the triangle.
Mills off the spin, rejected. It will count. It's a goal tag. So the Pistons lead 83-76.
Terry Mills doing a nice job, not only outside, but inside as well, where I think a lot of people forgot about his post-up ability. He used to do that quite a bit when he started out his career with the New Jersey Nets and became almost strictly a three-point shooter. Here he's showing today he can work inside.
20 points for Mills. 10 seconds left in the third. Jordan off the dribble, beating Dumars, going glass. Hill checking the clock and fires it. It would count. After 3, the Pistons lead by 7. The Bulls in the midst of a charge sparked by Jordan. 18 for Michael, 12 coming in the third. Grant Hill with 20, Terry Mills with 20. We'll be back after this from your local station.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Back at the Palace of Auburn Hills, Marv Albert, Matt Gukas, and Ahmad Rashad. Chicago outscored Detroit in the third 27-20. So they're down now by 7. They've trailed by as many as 14 points. The Bulls at 68-10 coming in. Last year they had 69 victories at this point. Unbelievable. If they win today, they're right on pace, just a game behind the record-breaking 72-win season of a year ago. 9 of the 10 losses this year have been on the road. The Bulls have not been defeated by the same team twice this season. So facing a major road test here as this fourth quarter gets underway. Williams lost the dribble. Hill with the lead pass. Ratliff could not convert. And last touch by Chicago.
And Brian Williams comes up shaking his right hand. I was just saying how comfortable he looked in certain parts of the offense where he caught the ball that time, putting the ball on the floor too much and fooling with it, and the turnover.
Hunter. Both teams, though, have shot well. They're both at 50%. Pistons cooling off in the third quarter. Here's Kerr. Rebounded by Thorpe. Otis Thorpe playing with 4 personal fouls. Dumars for 3. Good box out by Brian Williams on Theo Ratliff.
Well, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen have had to play so much of this season with injuries to Tony Kukoc and Dennis Rodman, where they have had to do so many different things. And now we don't know if Scottie Pippen coming back in this one. Michael Jordan is going to need some help, some scoring help from other people out on the floor. And this is when they usually look for Steve Kerr.
And Scottie Pippen made the turn of the corridor, leaving the locker room, and is making his way back to the Chicago bench. The foul on Thorpe, that is his 5th. And Thorpe sitting down. And here's Pippen joining his teammates back on the bench. Ryan Williams feeling for Terry Mills. Bad pass by Williams. Here's Dumars. 3-on-1, and it's Hill finishing it off. 9th assist for Dumars. Pistons lead by 9.
Well, you just don't see this kind of transition defense from the Bulls very often. They have been very lethargic in getting back.
Here's Jordan. And Hill again pushing it down. Ratliff. Well, Matt, you look back to the Thursday night game in New York. It was not a strong performance by the Chicago Bulls. And here they're trailing the Pistons by 11. 2 minutes in, fourth quarter, Chicago takes a timeout.
Miller Genuine Draft presents a classic moment of the NBA at 50.
Well, today we look back on the career of Isaiah Thomas, retired as the Pistons' career leader in points, assists, and steals. Led the Pistons to the NBA title in '89 and '90 and voted the 1990 Finals Most Valuable Player when the Pistons beat the Trailblazers. In recognition of this classic moment, Miller Beer will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. And it should be pointed out that this was not a Miller moment for Phil Jackson. Upset with the last call, looking for a hacking foul, and then hit by Derek Stafford with a technical.
Well, Phil indicating I thought he felt that Brian Williams was fouled using his 2 hands to show that to Derek Stafford, and Derek using his 2 hands to ring up Phil Jackson for the technical.
All right, the Pistons getting set to shoot the technical, but first let's check in with the mod who has more on this man, Scottie Pippen.
All right, thanks, Marv. A scary moment for the Chicago Bulls. Moments ago, Scottie Pippen hurt his 4th finger on his right hand. He was taken to the back. Here you can see it where he catches it right on an elbow. And at first they thought it might have been broken, but they took him back, and Dr. Ben Palucci, the Detroit Pistons doctor, took x-rays. The x-rays were negative, and they determined that it was a sprain. It's something that he sprained before, therefore that's why it was so thick in the finger. He's taped it to the other finger, and he's back ready to play. Mark?
All right, thanks, Ahmad. That might be more than we really want to know about that particular injury. A thorough report. Off the successful technical, Pistons now lead 88-76. Brian Williams. Bushra not able to get to the tip. And the Pistons, off the save by Dumars, come up with it.
We've seen a number of times the Pistons guards coming back and helping out and rebounding, and that's been an element of their game that has been missing for the last 3 or 4 weeks. They desperately need that. They're so small up front.
Michael Curry using the pick. Spinning, hitting, and through the foul. Michael Curry in his 3rd year out of Georgia Southern, but a man who has made the rounds after playing in 4 countries, also the CBA, the USBL, the GBL. He may have finally found a home here with the Pistons. Played in Germany and Belgium, Italy and Spain. The guy has impressed the coaching staff with his work ethic and can shoot the 3. Also a very fine free throw shooter.
At 91%, and we jinxed him there, but Michael Curry does not get a lot of minutes, 10 a game, but the Pistons consider him one of their most important leaders off the floor. He's the guy that gets everybody together on the road, go to the movies, go bowling, do whatever. Big key to this team.
All right, Pippen is rejected, but it will count. It is a goaltend.
Theo Ratliff, an outstanding shot blocker, and will challenge many shots. In some cases, you are allowed to take the ball or slap it against the backboard, but not pin it in that fashion. Good call by the officials. Clearly a goaltend.
This is the 4th and final meeting of the regular season between the Pistons and the Bulls, and the 3 previous all-Chicago victories were by convincing numbers. Grant Hill to the line. Chicago won the first 3 by 18, by 12, by 15 points. They've won 19 straight in all against Detroit. Foul committed by Brian Williams, his second. Michael Jordan sitting down. He had big 3rd quarter, 12 of his 18 in the 3rd quarter. Detroit has not beaten Chicago since March of 1993. It is among the longest win streaks in NBA history. Sonics have beaten the Timberwolves 25 straight. So this one is 19 coming into today. 8.5 remaining in the 4th quarter. Pistons by 13. Fan of defense in the crowd, and a pushing foul, kind of a delay call there. Doug Collins felt should have been a travel. That Brian Williams, by stumbling, called attention to that call.
Well, the way the offense was set up, Brian Williams very slow to come up from the weak side. He finally came a little bit off balance as he caught it and did something with his looks like his left leg right now. Doug Collins and the Pistons wanted a walking violation as when he stumbled and crumpled to the floor. He didn't think there was any contact. Doug Collins didn't think so. But the foul called on Theo Ratliff pushing from behind.
A very rough day physically for the Bulls, starting with Michael Jordan, who apparently is all right after he hurt his ankle early. Then Scottie Pippen jamming a finger, and now Brian Williams, who was signed as a free agent 5 games back when Bill Wennington went down. So the 22nd timeout has been called. Well, coming up next, the NBA action continues. Most of you will see Karl Malone and the Utah Jazz going up against Shaquille O'Neal and the Lakers. Shaquille making his return on Friday night against the Phoenix Suns. Others will see the Sonics and the Rockets. Check your local listings for the game in your area. So Longley with Bushler and Simpkins on the floor, along with Pippen and Kerr. Dickie Simpkins rejected. Here comes Hill. Got the step and rejected by Bushler. Good recovery by John Bushler. Simpkins posting. Finding Pippen. Pistons 91, the Bulls 80.
Oh, nice 2-man action between Dickie Simpkins and Scottie Pippen, as Pippen, with a huge height advantage over Lindsey Hunter, just held him off with the right arm, did a big target with the left hand, and a nice feed by Dickie Simpkins.
Simpkins in his 3rd NBA season out of Providence, a first-round pick of the Bulls 3 years ago. Hill got the step. Bushler finding an open Longley. And a loose ball foul on Simpkins. All right, for more on Brian Williams, who was forced out a moment ago, let's check back with the mob.
All right, Mark, Brian Williams just slightly twisted his left ankle. Chip Schaefer, the Bulls trainer, just told me that he's fine and ready to go back in the game. Mark?
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Well, front court injuries have certainly taken its toll on the Chicago Bulls. We mentioned earlier they have, there's a three-pointer. Terry Mills with his 5th of the game, extending to a 94-80 Detroit lead. Late last night, the Bulls making another addition to the roster. Kerr knocks one down. That's a two-pointer. Matt Stagenga, rookie from Michigan State, who was with Quad City in the CBA. There is Matt. And he has been signed. He was with Chicago in preseason.
Now, Matt Stagenga just called Jerry Krause a few days ago asking for tickets for the Toronto game tomorrow night. And Jerry said to him, hey, if you're not doing anything, come on out and work with the team as Grant Hill made the shot. And by the way, we got a spot on the roster. Do you want to play? And he said, yeah. So anybody out there wants Jerry Krause's number, looking for a job to play for the Chicago Bulls? Barbie will give that a little later, I'm sure.
In effect, that's an open invitation to CBA guys to give Jerry a call. All right, here's Hunter. Pippen chasing and the foul. Let's see, is it a flagrant? Scottie Pippen rocking Lindsey Hunter. Doug Collins off the bench. He's at center court looking for the flagrant call.
And I think he gets it as Sean Corbin, Derek Stafford conversing on the play. Scottie Pippen quickly goes over to Lindsey Hunter to try to pick him up after this collision. Bang! A very hard foul. 2 shots in the ball.
6:05 remaining in the fourth quarter. Well, Detroit coming back strong in the fourth quarter. They outscored Chicago 13-6 while we were away. Phil Jackson dispatching Michael Jordan during the timeout and wants to discuss something with the official, Derek Stafford.
Well, Michael Jordan is one of the co-captains along with Scottie Pippen coming out to ask Derek Stafford about that flagrant foul call on Scottie Pippen. Better to send Michael out there than Scottie because Pippen did not agree at all with the call. But that definition of a flagrant foul is a very broad one for the official, and all it says is any unnecessary contact. As Scottie Pippen actually bumping Hunter down low, trying to keep him from getting the arms up for the shot. There's the first of 2 free throws for Lindsey Hunter. Pippen quickly went over to Hunter to try to pick him up and show him that he meant no harm. And Derek Stafford wasn't sure initially on the call, told the other official, Sean Corbin, over to ask him for some help. They decided a flagrant foul and the ball, as Michael Jordan and Grant Hill have had their little friendly confrontations during the All-Star game. Get along very well. A lot of respect there, as you would expect.
They have been very playful with each other throughout the game. 98-82, the Pistons with the lead. Oh, Hill got the step, could not convert, and a loose ball foul against Detroit. It is on Ratliff. You know, watching Pippen rocking Hunter, of course, Scottie has been on the other end of that type of scenario here in Detroit in years gone by during the bad boy days of the Pistons. Scottie Pippen, and rebounded by Mills. Scottie Pippen's current teammate Dennis Rodman instrumental in a couple of those hits on Pippen when Dennis was a member of the Pistons. 5:20 remaining in the fourth. Mills, 25 points for Terry Mills, and the Pistons lead the Bulls 100-82. Shot clock at 5. And a foul before the rejection.
Now the coaching staff of the Pistons working very hard. Doug Collins and Johnny Bach. When that ball went inside to Jason Caffey initially, They got up, told everybody, stay home, stay with your man. They're a little bit more concerned with Steve Kerr on the perimeter with a possible three-point shot. Scottie Pippen, who can knock some threes down. They'll have to take their chances with Caffey trying to work inside one-on-one. I can't tell you how much Doug Collins wants a win today for so many, many reasons. First of all, they would like to break this 4-game losing streak, get a confidence builder as they go into the last week of the regular season, but all the things that had gone on between Doug Collins and the Chicago Bulls over the years.
And as we mentioned earlier, Collins saying that he felt his team had lost its confidence in that second half against the Charlotte Hornets on Friday night. Hunter, well, a terrific Piston shooting continues. 51% for the game. Pippen for three. Comes back to Pippen. Here's Kerr for three. The Pistons 102 and the Bulls 86. 8 points for Kerr. High men for Detroit. Grant Hill with 25. Terry Mills with 25, which ties a season high. And here's Mills again working on Caffey. So that is a new season high. Terry Mills on fire in the starting lineup today for only the 5th time this season. Caffey is fouled.
Terry Mills, third, it's penalty situation.
Foul on Mills. And Grant Hill now with his 5th triple-double, the last 8 games, number 12 on the season to lead the NBA. 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. So that is number 12, well in front in that department. And he led the NBA last year with 10. Well, here is the NBA debut of Matt Stigenga. We mentioned before, rookie from Michigan who was signed late last night. Just under 4 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Now, Matt Stigenga had a very fine collegiate career at Michigan State. But Matt, you and I were watching the Bulls take the court, crowd roaring here earlier. And here's, who is this guy? Did he win a contest? Terry Mills. 29 for Mills. And the Pistons lead 106-86.
And Doug Collins screaming on the sideline to Lindsey Hunter, stay up, don't leave Steve Kerr.
Well, that was the first field goal attempt from Matt Stigenga.
Well, Terry Mills, who got off to a rocky relationship last year with Doug Collins. Doug wanted him to lose some weight, really give it to him at the defensive end, but then realized he's going to be positive with Terry, get the most out of him, and he got that last year at the beginning of this year with the three-point shot, and now getting it from him and the post-up position as well. Now, Terry Mills is a free agent at the end of the season, and a lot of talk that he may move on. This is his hometown area here near Detroit, Michigan.
And the foul on Mills. Well, Michael Jordan hearing it from the crowd as he headed to the bench. The indication that this one is in the books for the Detroit Pistons. Phil Jackson making changes, pulling Jordan, pulling Caffey. Michael Jordan with just 18 points, well under that season average of 29.8.
Doug Collins up, still coaching his head off right now. It looks like a very, very comfortable 20-point lead. He's going to savor these last 3 minutes as much as possible. Matt Stigenga knocking down 2 free throws. Now, he did spend the training camp and exhibition season with the Chicago Bulls, so he is familiar with what the Bulls try to do.
Chicago headed for only its 11th defeat of the season. Deceptive move by Grant Hill. And a timeout has been called with 2:54 remaining in the 4th. Well, the Chicago Bulls have won the last 19 games against the Detroit Pistons. It's been over 4 years since the Pistons defeated the Bulls. In that game, Isaiah Thomas scored 21 points, added 10 assists. Joe Dumars with 27 points in the game. And with the Pistons up by 2, a last-second shot by B.J. Armstrong coming up short. Dennis Rodman and the Pistons were victorious 101-89. And the streak coming to an end here today. Chicago Bulls about to suffer their 11th loss of the season, 10 of the 11 on the road. The only team to beat Chicago at home, Miami. At home, the Bulls 38-1. They have won 31 straight. We're down to 2:40 remaining in the fourth quarter. And the Pistons up 106-87. Simpkins putting moves on Hill. Nicky Simpkins able to hit over Grant Hill. And obviously Doug Collins taking no chances as Grant Hill remains on the floor. Doug Collins on his way to his first ever victory over his former team, the Chicago Bulls. Here's Hill. And the rebound kept alive. They get the new 24.
You know, I think obviously the Chicago Bulls would have liked to win 72 games again. They would have had to run the table to do it. I think more importantly, however, they want to get to the 70-win plateau again to put them in a position that probably no other team will be able to match. The Pistons get another shot, but
and the Pistons are hearing it from the crowd as we come up on 1.5 minutes remaining. Hill. A magnificent all-around performance by Grant Hill. 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. Now Chicago following today with 3 games remaining. Tomorrow night home for Toronto. They finish up at Miami on Wednesday, and they're home for the Knicks next Saturday night, April 19th. That'll be seen on NBC. Foul on Aaron McKee. So they are 2 away from that 70-win plateau with 3 games to play. That is next. Most of you will see the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Lakers. Others will see the Sonics and the Rockets as the second part of our doubleheader. Simpkins at the line with 1:16 remaining. All right, Doug Collins just a moment ago saying, you out, you in. Just emptying the bench for this final minute.
Well, Johnny Bach was saying earlier today, trying to keep Doug Collins' spirits up, being a little bit shaken with all the things that have gone on, and saying that if we had started out the season this way and then finished as strong as we got started, there'd be a whole different mentality here. So I think everybody got kind of spoiled with the success that Detroit had early, and then this type of finish. So this is an important win for them to finish off the regular season.
Here's Curry. 24-second. I don't know if that hit the rim. However, play continues. And a travel on Stigenga. Laterial Green, 3-year man from Georgia, on the floor for the first time. Phil Jackson amused with the lack of the 24-second call a moment ago. This is Green with it. Originally a second-round pick of the Chicago Bulls. Down to 35 seconds. Crowd filing out, but they have certainly enjoyed what they've seen here today as the Detroit Pistons will end the 4-game slide and will move back into a tie with the Charlotte Hornets, who are red hot. They've won 7 in a row.
Bulls out of bounds.
A very emotional Doug Collins. We saw this after the Pistons were eliminated last season, swept in the first round by Orlando. But Matt, he's in tears on the bench with time winding down.
Wow, it's such a painful occupation being a coach in this league, and you expect the pain after losses, but it sometimes comes after an emotional win like today.
The Detroit Pistons have defeated the Chicago Bulls to end the 19-game win streak by Chicago against Detroit. And you can see the tears flowing. Doug Collins, who has been in the midst of much speculation, much news here in the Detroit area regarding several of his players not wanting to play for him, according to the reports. People named Grant Long and Otis Thorpe, and as Pete Messi reported on the pregame show, the captains Joe Dumars and Grant Hill supporting Doug Collins, and the Detroit Pistons say it is an overblown story. But the Pistons have been rattled recently, and they turn it around here today to beat Chicago 108-91. Let's go to Ahmad with Grant Hill.
All right, thanks, Marv. Grant, you said before the game that you had never experienced beating the Bulls. Well, you had beaten them, but it was on a video game that you bought. This had to be a little bit different.
This is a lot better than beating them on PlayStation. You know, I've never beaten the Bulls before. I think this organization the last 4 or 5 years has lost to them. They're a great team, and I'm just glad we came out and got the win, especially since we've been struggling as of late.
I imagine breaking that 4-game losing streak, this has to be a big confidence builder going forward.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, one of the main things over the last month and a half is our confidence has gone. And I think, you know, beating these guys here today and playing real well definitely is a confidence booster. And now we got Orlando tomorrow.
Well, another triple-double for you. Congratulations on a great game.
All right, thank you.
All right, back to you, Marv.